Have you ever felt like you're trapped in a cycle of stress, unable to find any peace, no matter how hard you try? Imagine this. You wake up every day, overwhelmed by thoughts, deadlines, and the endless demands of life. Your mind races, your body feels exhausted, and yet, no matter how much you accomplish, it's never enough. Now, what if I told you that 8 simple habits you've been holding on to are the very things blocking your peace? These habits aren't just affecting your mood, they're slowly taking away your ability to truly relax, to experience the calm you deserve. But what if you could finally break free? What if you could step out of this constant state of stress and find lasting peace? Stick with me as we uncover how you can let go of these habits and transform your life. Let's dive in. We all know that stress is a constant companion in today's fast-paced world. Whether it's work, personal life, or the constant pressure to keep up, it often feels like there's no escape. You're running on empty, yet the stress continues to pile up. But here's the thing. Most of us don't realize that the very habits we've developed over the years are feeding this stress. In fact, some of these habits may be so ingrained in our daily routines that we don't even notice they're causing harm. What if you could change that? What if I told you that by letting go of just 8 habits, you could completely transform your stress levels and unlock a sense of inner peace you never thought possible? Imagine waking up in the morning feeling relaxed, clear-headed, and ready to take on the day, not because you're doing more, but because you've learned how to let go of the habits that weigh you down. In the next few minutes, we're going to dive deep into the 8 habits that are stealing your peace and how releasing them can help you live a calmer, more peaceful life. Ready? Let's get started. Stress has become an all too familiar part of modern life. It's in the constant rush of deadlines, the never-ending to-do lists, and the pressure to always be on. But what most people don't realize is that stress doesn't just come from external pressures. It comes from the habits we form to cope with them. Think about it for a moment. We've all been there. You're juggling work, family, and personal commitments, trying to keep it all together. So, you grab that extra cup of coffee, you skip a meal, or you push through your exhaustion with sheer willpower. You think these habits are helping you get by, but in reality, they're slowly adding more weight to your mental and emotional load. These habits, while seemingly harmless, have a sneaky way of making stress feel inevitable. Take the habit of overthinking, for instance, constantly replaying situations in your mind, worrying about what went wrong or what might happen next. It eats away at your peace, making you feel like you're always one step behind. Or the habit of saying yes to everything, saying yes to that extra project, that last-minute favor, even though you know it's going to leave you stretched thin. Then there's the habit of comparison. Social media, the news, even conversations with friends can trigger us to measure our lives against others. It makes us feel inadequate or that we're falling behind. These habits pull us away from the present moment and leave us feeling anxious and overwhelmed. What happens is that these stress triggers, these habits, trap us in a cycle. They make us feel like we're constantly reacting to life instead of actually living it. And the worst part? We don't even realize they're the ones keeping us from experiencing the peace we so desperately crave. But the good news is, these habits can be changed, and when you let go of them, you unlock the potential for true inner peace. Here's the detailed breakdown of the 8 habits that contribute to stress, with explanations, real-life examples, and practical tips for letting them go. Given the length of this section, around 2,500 to 3,000 words, I'll provide an outline and start the development of the content. Each habit will be fully explored in depth. Habit 1. Overthinking. What it is. Overthinking is the habit of excessively analyzing or worrying about situations, decisions, or problems. It's when your mind keeps racing with what-if scenarios, and you get stuck replaying past events or imagining worst-case outcomes. Why it contributes to stress. Overthinking prevents you from living in the present moment. It fills your mind with constant noise and makes it harder to focus on what truly matters. When you overthink, you can get lost in a spiral of worry, which only increases anxiety and stress levels. Real-life example. Let's say you send an email at work, and then you start replaying every word you wrote. You worry about how your tone was perceived, if you made a typo, or if you've missed something important. The longer you dwell on it, the more stressed you feel, and all this energy is wasted on something that's already done. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Set time limits for decisions. Allow yourself a set amount of time to think about something. Once that time is up, commit to letting it go. Shift your focus. When you catch yourself overthinking, engage in a different activity that requires your full attention, like reading, exercising, or doing a puzzle. Practice mindfulness. Stay grounded in the present moment by focusing on your breath or engaging your senses. This will reduce the cycle of overthinking. Habit 2. People-pleasing. What it is. People-pleasing is the habit of constantly seeking approval from others, even if it means sacrificing your own needs, values, or well-being. You say yes to things you don't want to do because you fear rejection or disapproval. Why it contributes to stress. When you're constantly trying to make everyone else happy, you end up neglecting your own needs. This leads to burnout, frustration, and resentment. The pressure to meet everyone's expectations leaves you feeling like you're living for others instead of yourself. Real-life example. Imagine you have a full schedule, but a colleague asks for your help on a project. Instead of saying no, you agree, even though it will leave you overwhelmed and stressed. The desire to be liked or to avoid conflict overrides your own boundaries, leading to more pressure on yourself. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Learn to say no. It's okay to decline requests that don't align with your values or priorities. Practice saying no with kindness, but without guilt. Set clear boundaries, understand your limits, and communicate them to others. Respecting your own boundaries is a key step toward protecting your peace. Prioritize self-care. Recognize that putting your own needs first isn't selfish. Self-care allows you to show up fully for others. Habit 3. Perfectionism. What it is. Perfectionism is the habit of setting unrealistically high standards for yourself and striving for flawless outcomes. It involves a constant fear of making mistakes or not measuring up. Why it contributes to stress. Perfectionism is exhausting. The pressure to be perfect can cause constant anxiety, self-criticism, and frustration. You might spend excessive time on tasks, always feeling like they're never good enough, which leads to chronic stress and burnout. Real-life example, you're working on a project at work, and instead of finishing it, you keep tweaking every small detail. The deadline is approaching, but you're still not happy with the results. This leads to panic and stress, as you try to make everything flawless, instead of just completing the task. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Set realistic expectations. Accept that nothing is perfect, and sometimes good enough is more than enough. Celebrate progress. Focus on the steps you've taken, rather than obsessing over the final result. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when you make mistakes. Understand that imperfection is part of being human. Habit 4. Constant comparison. What it is. Constant comparison is the habit of measuring your life, achievements, or happiness against others. This often happens in a social media-driven world where people post only their best moments, leading you to feel inadequate. Why it contributes to stress. When you constantly compare yourself to others, it creates feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, and low self-esteem. It distracts you from focusing on your own journey and can make you feel like you're not doing enough or living up to expectations. Real-life example. You scroll through social media and see a friend posting about their recent vacation. You immediately feel jealous and think, why don't I have the time or resources to travel like that? This comparison leads to stress, as it makes you feel like you're falling short. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Limit social media time. Reduce your exposure to platforms that trigger comparison. Set boundaries on how often you check them. Focus on your own journey. Celebrate your unique path and accomplishments, no matter how big or small. Practice gratitude. Reflect on the things you already have and the progress you've made. This shifts your focus from others to yourself. Habit 5. Multitasking. What it is. Multitasking is the habit of juggling multiple tasks at once, believing that it will make you more productive. However, multitasking often leads to scattered focus and lower quality work. Why it contributes to stress. When you multitask, your brain is constantly switching between tasks, which can lead to mental fatigue and burnout. It's also harder to fully immerse yourself in each task, leaving you feeling unsatisfied and stressed. Real-life example, you're answering emails while trying to complete a report, and your phone is buzzing with notifications. Your attention is divided, and none of the tasks are being completed to your full potential, leading to frustration and stress. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Focus on one task at a time. Try single tasking instead of multitasking. It may take a little longer, but the quality of your work will improve. Use time blocking. Set specific time slots for each task, minimizing distractions and allowing you to focus fully. Practice mindfulness. When you're working on something, be present in that moment. This reduces the mental clutter caused by switching tasks constantly. Habit 6. Neglecting sleep. What it is. Neglecting sleep is the habit of sacrificing rest to meet demands in work, social life, or other commitments. Often, this habit stems from the belief that you can accomplish more if you simply stay up a little longer, but it comes at a cost to your health and well-being. Why it contributes to stress. When you don't get enough sleep, your body is not able to recharge and rejuvenate, leaving you feeling drained and irritable. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs cognitive function, reduces your ability to manage emotions, and leads to higher stress levels, anxiety, and depression. Over time, it can create a cycle where the more sleep you lose, the more stressed you become, making it even harder to rest. Real-life example, you've been working late every night trying to meet a deadline. You skip sleep because you're too busy to rest. After a few days, you notice that you're more forgetful, your mood is fluctuating, and you're constantly on edge. The lack of sleep is taking a toll, and you realize that despite working harder, you're not performing at your best. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Set a bedtime routine. Aim to go to bed at the same time each night and create a relaxing pre-sleep routine, such as reading or meditating. Prioritize sleep. Make sleep a non-negotiable part of your day. If you need to, set an alarm to remind you to start winding down for the night. Limit screen time before bed. The blue light from phones and computers can interfere with your sleep, so avoid screens at least an hour before you sleep. Habit 7. Dwelling on the past. What it is. Dwelling on the past is the habit of constantly revisiting past mistakes, regrets, or experiences that have caused pain. It's the mental cycle of replaying moments where things went wrong, which stops you from moving forward. Why it contributes to stress. When you're stuck in the past, you miss out on living in the present moment. Rehashing old memories creates mental and emotional clutter, leaving you distracted and overwhelmed. You also waste energy on things you can't change, causing frustration and anxiety. This constant rumination stops you from growing, learning, and enjoying life. Real-life example. You've been thinking about a disagreement you had with a close friend months ago. Instead of letting go of it, you replay the conversation over and over in your mind, thinking about what you could have said or done differently. This causes you to feel upset and anxious, even though the situation is long over. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Practice forgiveness. Forgiving yourself and others is key to moving on from past hurts. Letting go of grudges frees you from the past. Focus on the present. Train yourself to be present. When you catch yourself dwelling on past events, consciously shift your focus back to the current moment. Journaling. Write down your thoughts and feelings to release them. Reflect on what you've learned from past experiences rather than staying stuck in regret. Habit 8. Seeking external validation. What it is. Seeking external validation is the habit of relying on others' opinions and approval to feel good about yourself. This can manifest as constantly checking social media for likes, relying on praise at work, or seeking compliments in personal relationships. Why it contributes to stress. When your sense of self-worth depends on external validation, you give away your power. This creates an unstable foundation for your mental and emotional well-being because you can't control how others perceive you. This leads to stress as you constantly seek affirmation, never feeling truly secure in who you are. Real-life example. You post a picture on social media and anxiously wait for likes and comments. The moment you don't get the response you expect, you start questioning your worth and feel disappointed or anxious. Instead of feeling confident in your own skin, you depend on external validation to feel good about yourself. Practical tips to let go of this habit. Build self-confidence. Start recognizing your own worth without needing others' approval. Practice self-affirmations and remind yourself of your unique value. Celebrate internal achievements. Rather than seeking approval, focus on the satisfaction of accomplishing something for your own growth, not for praise from others. Limit comparison to others. Avoid comparing your success or happiness to others' validation. Cultivate a sense of contentment from within rather than external sources. By letting go of these 8 habits, overthinking, people-pleasing, perfectionism, comparison, multitasking, neglecting sleep, dwelling on the past, and seeking external validation, you can break free from the cycle of stress. Each of these habits contributes to the constant tension and anxiety that prevent you from experiencing true inner peace. When you release them, you unlock a new way of living, one that's focused on self-care, authenticity, and present-moment awareness. Now we've talked about the habits that contribute to stress: overthinking, people-pleasing, perfectionism, comparison, multitasking. But here's where things take a turn. These habits, they're not just small annoyances. They are major obstacles standing between you and the peace you deserve. And when you let go of them, that's when the real transformation happens. Picture this. You wake up in the morning, not feeling overwhelmed by the weight of the world, but feeling free. No more racing thoughts from overthinking. No more guilt from saying yes to everything. No more fear of not measuring up to others. Instead, you're calm. Your mind is clear. You have control over your day, not the other way around. Letting go of these habits doesn't just reduce stress. It allows you to reconnect with what truly matters to you. You can focus on your goals without worrying about how others see you. You can enjoy the present moment without stressing about the past or future. And when you stop comparing yourself to others, you finally begin to appreciate your own unique journey, flaws and all. Now imagine that moment when you realize you're no longer consumed by the need for perfection. You're taking action, making progress, and most importantly, you're at peace with the way things are. No more endless tweaking or second-guessing. You know that doing your best is enough. You are enough. This shift is like a weight being lifted off your shoulders. It's like finally breathing after holding your breath for far too long. The stress starts to fade, and in its place, a sense of peace and clarity emerges. You'll begin to notice that things you once thought were huge problems aren't so overwhelming anymore. Your mind is clearer, your body feels lighter, and you're living in the moment rather than getting lost in the chaos of your thoughts. It's a dramatic change, one that feels almost like waking up from a long, restless sleep. You realize that inner peace was always within reach, but you were just too caught up in these habits to see it. When you break free from the patterns that have been holding you back, the world around you changes too. You start showing up as the best version of yourself, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you finally learned to be kind to yourself. So, let's recap. The 8 habits we've explored today: overthinking, people-pleasing, perfectionism, comparison, multitasking, and others, are not just minor stressors in your life. They're the very things that keep you trapped in a cycle of anxiety and unrest. But the good news is, you have the power to break free from them. When you start letting go of these habits, you're not just reducing stress. You're opening the door to a life where peace is no longer a distant dream, but a daily reality. Imagine waking up each day feeling grounded, clear-headed, and in control. No more being consumed by worry, comparison, or the pressure to be perfect. You'll experience a shift toward a more peaceful, more fulfilling life. It won't happen overnight, but by making small, intentional changes, you can transform your life. You'll feel lighter, more focused, and more present. You'll start to enjoy the simple moments, stop carrying the weight of unnecessary stress, and start embracing the calm that's always been within you. Remember, you have the ability to change. You hold the key to your own peace. The power is in your hands. All it takes is the courage to let go and the determination to live a life that feels as peaceful on the inside as it looks on the outside. If you found this helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips on living a stress-free life, or check out the next video to dive even deeper into the path to inner peace.